Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to Batman Arkham Asylum again at the beginning because my audio microphone seems to just be getting worse and worse. So what we're going to do is load back into the game and the good news is that most of it saves when you walk through a door, so there actually wasn't any collectibles that weren't saved just on happenstance there, but we ended last recording about right here. You can see if you hold A, you kind of get this almost free flow feel to the game that you're never ever gonna get. Let's just be honest here, like that's totally not the experience that most people are gonna have while playing this game. You're gonna spend the vast majority of your time instead.
I'm just sitting here watching cartoons. If any of you find black
The idea that the Joker
don't look up when you open the door.
would be watching cartoons doesn't even really synergize. Like, it kind of doesn't make sense. And see those spikes there, I think are intentionally set up to make it so you can't get up that direction. But as we can see over here, there's other ways around to get this Joker trophy, or this Riddler trophy. So we've got another character we've unlocked. There's a couple of collectibles in that building that we can't reach. A couple of collectibles or Riddler things just to the right. What is interesting in the load screen I noticed is that there actually is a secondary
I can't see any tobacco clumps. I'm going to have to retrace my steps and pick the trail back up.
I don't think I can get up here. There's kind of a secondary Batman logo, the original logo that with the yellow bat symbol that's in the loading section talked about when you're first loading the game, and yeah, there's no way to climb up to that.
No tobacco here. Gordon was taken in a different direction. I need to go search for it.
But you can't climb up here just because it isn't programmed. So, it seems like each question mark would be an indication of a individual collectible. But let's see. There was a riddle that said, let's face it,
I should get back to
there's two dents in that wall.
Don't you forget, search every nook and cranny. I want everyone found.
Right, so there is something way over there. But I don't think grapple up to that. Like, you don't have that ability. And yeah. So unless it's something like get over here.
I can't see any tobacco clumps. I'm going to have to retrace my steps and pick the trail back up.
See if you can get close enough to reach that area. I don't think that's gonna work. So then you would have to jump down here, and the Joker's just gonna constantly make annoying noises. And they've like intentionally done that in such a way that you can't climb up there. Interesting. Well, then that leaves really maybe one Riddler thing right here. I like that the question mark is jumping around, because it doesn't then just directly tell you where things are. I kind of like it, at least. Like, it is potentially also a little bit annoying. Yeah, there's one more of these.
As Gotham's veins slowly filled with pain,
The game
and
just
suffering,
stops when you get one of these, though.
effects
Like,
were
I can
felt
put the
everywhere.
controller down, I can drink some
My
water,
father fell
don't really have
fast,
to listen or do
infected
anything.
by some foul disease. My mother lived on, but only in a dream. I returned to the family home to care for her, where she remained in her bed for as long as her body continued to breathe. Her tears kept me awake at night.
So, again, we need all of this
No tobacco
content,
here.
because
Taken in a different direction. I need
if
to go
we
search for it.
don't get it, then we can't level up. There's one more thing in this general direction, I think. On the other hand, there is also kind of an argument that you would... I don't even know what I'm looking for, but it does seem to indicate that it would be right about here. It's kind of weird. It is just grindy, this type of gameplay. There could be a cave hidden behind any of this vegetation, but I don't think there is going to be it. And yeah, if you use the treasure map, then the indication should be that that it tells you exactly where the things are. Okay.
I can't see any tobacco clumps. I'm going to have to retrace my steps and pick the trail back up.
Right. So, all indication is that on this wall, right here, there's something. And only by the fact that I know that there was this weird wall that was a hint towards the next game, and only knowing that that weird wall that does not show up in detective mode is exposed by placing all 3 of your explosive gels and then detonating it. That's the only reason why I would ever do this. And it didn't open up. So almost certainly the real answer is something a little bit more simplistic. Something a little bit obvious. More obvious and easy to figure out. Like, and that is of course the reason why I suspect that the secret room that was added, that was found as a Easter egg for the next game, may have been added after the fact in a patch, and not originally in the game. Although this is the Game of the Year version of that, so we should see it by now. Alright. So that was simply a matter.
I can't see any tobacco clumps. I'm going to have to retrace my steps and pick the trail back up.
Yeah, you have 3 different audio cues triggering on top of each other. Pretty annoying. Alright. And so we need to go back to the beginning and start from here and go here and then go here and then go here and go here.
The security doors are locked.
And just get
I'm going to have
led.
to find another way around to get back on Gordon's trail. The wall ahead is weak enough for my explosive gel to blow through and open up a new path.
So this is the first time that you were ever supposed to have used this. and I've already used it multiple times. It's worth mentioning though. So it looks like he's drawing a smiley face to me. It's supposed to be a bat, but it looks like he's drawing a Joker face, which almost implies that Batman would not be beneath or above the concept of framing the Joker for some mayhem. What's interesting here is each of these rocks that exploded are still labeled as destroyable, which there's really no reason for that. There's a question that needs to be asked. See, Zaz is counting on you to find his work. There's one of the hints. We could, I guess, also have looked at all the riddles that we got in Arkham North, which we got most of them, but clearly we didn't find any chatterboxes, of which there's supposed to be 10. This door is not going to unlock, probably ever, and it's questionable whether the people we see in the far distance are enemies or good guys. There's a wall you can't really destroy, and here's a ventilation cover you can't really do anything with, and you just have these narrow loading zone hallways. In all fairness, the game has done a decent job of not having any loading, which is great. Unfortunately, that's something that wasn't embraced consistently in games going forward, and we are back to very much having more loading sections. And if this game was bigger, I would assume it would just have more loading, and I would much prefer it to be bigger. So we've got a couple of bad guys, which should totally be a different color than the good guys and the dead bodies. Dead bodies really don't need to be scanned that much anyways. Let's see. Meanwhile, we don't have a map for the Arkham East section, so I imagine, unless we just want to look at this, does Scarecrow's gas break down barriers?
As it drives you insane?
Zaz is counting on you. Do I see? No.
Do you
then
see what I can see? No? Then maybe I am in a stronger position.
okay. So it seems to me like they don't want you to sneak by these people. They want you just to sneak by these sections. Is this supposed to be Blackgate Penitentiary? Pretty much. So they're putting Blackgate Prison on Arkham Asylum with the intensive treatment and botanical gardens in the mansion, which seems really silly. Meanwhile, game-wise, I think we are just stealthing here. Playing as a detective more than I think you reasonably would. There's a guard over there cowering in fear. Odd that the guard would be at a guard tower cowering in fear, and the criminals are capable of doing whatever they want. You would assume a guard tower would have some guns, they'd be shooting. You would assume you'd hear a lot more shots getting fired off in general, just randomness reasons anyways. And we really do have to just follow this scent. And you might as well do it, because if I try to look around for collectibles, it's going to treat me worse. There's a whole section of bad guys. I guess we're gonna end up fighting. Are they armed? See, I see another one up there. Like, so what you don't have here is a power drop. There's kind of nothing you can do. And what are we trying to see? Otherwise, kind of nothing. So it's just climb down. And do we have anything that would synergize with that? No. So all that stealth and carefulness is nothing whatsoever. I really just needed to beat up these guys. We got some of the teeth. Two of them got knocked down without me having to do a ground pound, and then that guy just got a huge combo, and I just noticed that the combos also give you a little bit more experience, so that gives you a weird feeling that very possibly there isn't a great system here, and you might not get all the experience you need just through playing collectibles and finding collectibles and playing the game. Right, so there's something down there. Is there a way? Nope. You would have to activate this with a hack to get that part. We've got another thing over there that you'd have to activate. Over here we have a weird ship section that honestly it does kind of scream like they wanted to have some kind of wharf shipyard level, but that makes no sense for Arkham Island. Generally I would assume that Arkham Island would be very high up and more surrounded by shark infested waters, not a case where people would build a shack and potentially use that shack to use boats.
Take patient interview 20.
We got another one of these.
When Project Titan is operational, I believe Joker will be the perfect test subject. Good afternoon. Today I thought I'd skip back to our previous conversations about your family.
Of course. I was born in a small fishing village. I always wanted to join the circus, but my father wouldn't really let me.
I don't believe you.
My father was a cop. 1 week from retirement when a mob...
I've seen the movie. What are you scared of?
Scared?
Yes, scared. There's obviously something. Something that made you what you are.
What if I'm too scared to remember? It hurts too much.
Then I can help you.
So there's a spoiler in that the Project Titan is clearly, from what I vaguely remember and what I'm just gonna assume, is the chemicals that he used to make that big strong guy that died after a couple minutes of me dodging his attacks. And that is kind of the storyline. So this psychologist wanted to do Project Titan on the Joker, which kind of makes no sense at all. By the way, when the Chattering Teeth were here, I was able to double tap and throw these without having to switch between anything else. Let's see, if we blow that up right next to us, it doesn't hurt us at all.
My journey lasted little
Way too
over
many
a
of these
month,
right next to each other.
visiting academics in both Metropolis and Keystone. I was exposed to a wealth of new ideas. I began my day returning home in good spirits, eager to see my wife and family. I ended it kneeling in their blood, broken fragments of my life, pouring through dripping red fingers.
If this was better written, this should be not chronological that you collect these. It should be that until you collect all of them, do you get the full story and does it start to make sense? With the last bit explaining some hanging questions and threads. Otherwise, what you're going to want to do is just not even listen to these, which they're wasting a lot of time telling you nothing right now. And then once you have everything, just hitting this and just listening to all of it in a row like that. But much like the other problem that comes up here is how long can you leave someone hanging? There are Riddler trophies and things that we won't be able to access at least for a good couple more hours, and we are going to enter another area here. Do I really want to talk to the guard? No. And once we enter another internal area, there's really no reason why we would be able to memorize and remember all the previous sections in intensive treatment. So we've been through a main game section. We've been in intensive treatment. We've been through the outside section of quite a few places. We're at our third outside area. And yeah, we are going to, let's see. He said a position of power. Oh man. Let's get back up here.
Easy, isn't
So,
it? Well, we'll
yeah.
see. We'll see.
I feel like the game is poorly designed in that factor. Like, I shouldn't have to find a map. Most players shouldn't have to be able to find a treasure map to find all the treasures. Most players should, by 3 hours in of an 11-hour game, you're 1/3 of the way done. Most players should have most of the abilities to get all the collectibles. Instead, we're approaching maybe 25%, and I'm playing fairly thoroughly for us to even reach that level. I'm having to be particularly, let's see, am I just wrong about this?
He's here! Let's finish this!
So I guess you don't have to hold down right trigger directly to hit people. So this is the visitor center. It doesn't seem like you can just walk through here. Although maybe you can. I'll be darned, it seems like you could just open the door and walk right through. So there's basically nobody left in this area, with the exception of the guard. Going up here seems to be probably a shortcut. Going up here, there's another collectible. But going downward, you have to use the glide. And landing on a platform like that with the glide is not a guaranteed level of success. Over here is the botanical gardens. I wouldn't be surprised if we go into one section and then we get forced to leave and go into another section. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some collectible somewhere that requires more abilities and more collectible things. See, that looks like we'd be able to make that. I should be able to right bump that over there, and yet that doesn't seem like that's the case. So come over here and we'll see what we can do. It's probably just a shortcut exit. If I was to guess, it's probably what it is. And is there anything else to really do? Like, we have a beaten up ambulance, which is a visual asset that the game probably didn't need. I would trade not seeing any ambulances in the game whatsoever for the simple extra face and character skin of a guard or an enemy, or just an extra decent month of programming the fighting mechanic so it's smoother and not a lot less button mashy. Like, I have speculated about getting into trying to play some fighting games, and there is one kind of awkward fighting game where you have to land combos. You literally cannot defeat somebody unless you land a combo on them, or perhaps it's better described not as a combo but as a fight move. Third party cutscene for that one. And that's another way in. So that's a lot of what it feels like when playing this game, is that you have to land a bunch of combos, and playing on normal would just drive you crazy. There's a lighthouse to make up for the harbor section. And you know what's really weird about this is I didn't play Arkham City yet. I want to play Arkham City next, but I don't think you do anything on the water in Arkham City either. I think you're isolated completely to a landlocked section of Gotham, which frankly should have been the name of the series. And calling something Arkham City doesn't make a lot of sense. Somebody's shooting at me? That sounds like. Okay. So either I'm supposed to glide all the way over there, or I'm supposed to grapple. And there's no telling whatsoever what a glide would do if you're crashing into something. I guess we're about to learn what happens when you hit the water. Oh, you get this cutscene. Interesting. And it just puts you back to an area. It doesn't even hurt you. So it doesn't do any damage if you fall. Like, I get it. You don't want a Batman game where Batman is drowning. That's kind of silly. But it also does just kind of feel like the game is lacking what you'd expect for features even in 2019. Like, I don't think you're being particularly picky to assume that Batman should be able to swim and not jump off the ledges of things in an awkward Assassin's Creed style. And what's funny is this is a Warner Brothers game, so it's not even like the code base would be the same. It is an Unreal game, so I guess if maybe some of that technology was from Unreal, that would make sense, but most of the Assassin's Creed stuff, I would say, that style of gameplay does come from Ubisoft's code base. Yeah, you can get up here, and that's it. And there's kind of no reason for it. Alright. So let's run this direction. Still getting people shooting at me. I don't know where from. We missed the Zaz thing. If I recall correctly, he cut off the head of one of these statues. Because in one of these Zaz stories, he cuts the head off of somebody. But yeah, I don't really see it, so could be in front of any point. Alright. So how many Riddler challenges did we get done? A decent amount, but not a lot. At least we had the Joker shut up. So we can just jump into the game, go forward here. And in the generosity of our benefactor, something. Here we have Harley Quinn. She is sitting there, and then you can kind of see the outline of her outfit and such. And she apparently is not scannable as far as if she's armed or not. But yeah, now that we're in a new place, we're probably going to get a cutscene and get sent to the botanical gardens. Let's just watch this and see if this is in-game cutscene or if it jumps to a pre-rendered cutscene.
Bats! This is my meat.
Where's Gordon?
Wouldn't you like
I'm
to
over
know?
here.
Shut up!
Ah, you crazy bitch. Harley!
That's a little weird to use the B word
It's too early.
for Gordon, Commissioner Gordon.
Sorry, Puddin'. Don't be angry with me.
Hmm.
Mwah!
Oh, you little minx. I can never stay mad at you.
Sorry, B-Man. You'll have to find
This
another
outfit's
way.
kind of alright, but the face mask
This
is
way's
crazy.
blocked. Better search outside for another way in.
There is also this a story that's worth mentioning where some writer made it canon that the Harley Quinn of now may not be the same Harley Quinn of past, and that there have been a lot of Harley Quinns. So it's fairly obvious that since we got a cutscene when we blew this part up, we're supposed to come in through this door. I suppose maybe if we had started here, we might have actually trapped Harleen and maybe caught her. I don't think so, but you'd probably get a different cutscene.
I mean it. Search every room, every office, and every trash can. If another doctor tries to run and get out of the building, then you won't. I'll just flood the rooms with happy gas and leave you to die. I may do that anyway. Sounds fun.
Okay. So it seems like you're gonna have to come back into this room from a different direction, from the looks of it. Unless we're just gonna go in circles. So we can have a half second here of this. Yeah, we're in a totally different internal area, so how are you supposed to remember from 3 hours ago what was intensive therapy? But unless you get a map, and even if you do get a map, in this case, the map is going to highlight and just kind of hover Riddler trophies, which is going to not be enough information for some players, certainly. And you are going to definitely run into some people that just get frustrated because of that, for unnecessarily reasons. So yeah, it's weird to have to say that a game is a short game, and but that's definitely the truth in this case. I'm trying to see if there's another way through here, but I guess not. So I don't know how we're walking directly around the location we need to be around. I guess we're going around in circles. And then this way wraps back around towards this. I guess a lot of it just kind of boils down to funding. Had Warner Brothers, and in all fairness, Warner Brothers really doesn't fund the development of any of their games enough. I hope I'm going the right way. Would this tell me? Somewhat. They kind of don't fund their games enough. You would think for what Warner Brothers has to offer, Batman is their biggest offering. So 2 more years, a lot more funding to make this game actually work would be great. I kind of get where they're coming from. All previous, why it would be underfunded though. Like all the previous Batman games.
Shut it. Get down there with the others. Move it.
Okay.
Another female doctor.
Why does he need the doctors? I've got to save them.
It's weird sexism. Like with the exception of Harley Quinn, all the bad guys are guys. The Joker, all the monsters you're gonna fight. Batman's not gonna punch any women in this game at all, but he'll crack the heads of every single Blackgate prisoner just perfectly fine without batting an eye. No pun intended. And then all the doctors, all the intellectuals are going to be female. So I guess you feel sorry for him. I guess that's the general idea. This is another one of these challenge sections where they want you to climb up here and let's see. Can I hang this guy? Not what I was intending to have happen, but of course now all you have to do is just swing around. Let's see. Hang. And then when you're hanging like this, you can't do anything. Like, they have to be standing right where you are. But what I can do is this. And then back up here. And then detonate. And take that guy out.
Oh God, I found someone over here. What happened to you? What are we gonna do? We gotta find you where we're next. You hear me?
So it becomes much more of a puzzle than a just standard fight. Which, I guess maybe if they were all puzzles instead of standard fights, that'd be great. But getting into this area, it was clearly there was no puzzle there. I mean, I could try to throw like a batarang on them. Yeah, you could do something like that.
Sure came from over there.
But there's an inverted takedown.
What are you doing?
And he ties you up.
I hate to break it, but you're all alone in that big, scary hospital.
So we'll try and see if we can
This can't be happening.
take this guy out with an inverted takedown. I kind of don't think I can.
Where'd he go? Oh God, he's above us. He's in the air.
Yep. There is this kind of idea of the myth of Batman and people not really believing that he exists at all. Well, just got a lot of people that are pre-knocked out on the floor, it looks like, too.
Is there a doctor in the house? No? I seem to have a pile of wounded henchmen that need medical attention.
The room's clear. You're safe now.
So we'll want to talk to the doctors. But what we want to do first, before we do anything else, is can we get the remote control batarang? Or do we want to and get the auto proximity detonation? Let's get that first, because that opens up a potential usefulness. It didn't unlock anything new, so remote control batarang is our next ability. And then you're just looking at
Batman, over here.
a lot of stuff. And
Batman.
they're just gonna say Batman, Batman, so we might as well talk to these people first. So here we have a couple of victims, I think, of the Titan Project. It's weird to have the right bump always on the screen.
I don't know what happened.
And it just jumped into a
we were doing
cutscene.
our evening rounds, and the next, armed thugs burst
I
into
didn't
the
even
room
have
and
to
took us
talk to 'em.
hostage.
Did they have anyone with them?
They took someone into the elevator. I couldn't tell who it was.
They obviously didn't want to be followed. The elevator appears to have been powered down. You're going to be okay here.
We'll be fine.
What about the others? We heard gunfire. They could be dead. We should go and help.
Oh no, I forgot. Dr. Kellerman was in the patient observation room, and Dr. Chen went to surgery.
And Dr. Young went to X-ray.
Okay, stay here. I'll find the other doctors.
Batman saved us. I never really believed he existed.
You okay?
New objective, rescue Dr. Young, Dr. Kellerman, and so we're getting side missions here that doesn't really make sense when you consider the fact that this is going to be so linear. They're splitting it up, which also goes to show that this level is going to be particularly bigger. And yeah, you do get to a certain point where the size of the building is weirdly larger than you would think. Let's see. A perspective question, and then a clock thing.
Patient interview 21. Patient's name is Edward Nigma, also known as the Riddler. So, Edward, Warden Sharp tells me you've been leaving threatening riddles scrawled on the asylum walls. Again.
One would have to be severely paranoid to read threats into harmless riddles, Dr. Young. May I test you with one?
Very well.
What is it that walks on 4 legs, then 2 legs, and finally 3 legs?
Mankind,
A
man.
human being. As a baby, it crawls on 4 legs. As an adult, it walks on
But
2.
that's not going to be his
As
answer.
years, it uses a cane.
Good try. But the answer to all 3 is a baby. True, it crawls on all 4s, but cut off its legs and it can only wiggle on 2 limbs. Give it a crutch, it can hobble around on 3. You see?
It's horrible. How can you even joke about that?
It's not
Silly
even.
doctor. It's not my baby.
It's not even right. Like edgy writing there for no reason. So yeah, we're looking for perspective puzzles. We're still locked into the tobacco scanning. The good news is we don't have the purple detective mode anymore. We're done with that. The bad news is that's not going to really help. It's also fairly kind of obvious that not every destructible element actually needs to be destroyed. So I'm gonna make a specific effort to not waste my time blowing up walls. That we're looking for a clock. There's several different areas here. All kinds of stuff. This might go to another area, or it might do nothing. I keep hitting B to get back from the menu, and instead of getting back from the menu, it takes me back into the overworld map. This very possibly was just a area where you could have snuck around. There is a Riddler trophy here. And of course, my presence isn't going to set off these elements. The auto destruction. Yeah, they really just want you to use that as a to tap the left trigger once in a while, just as something that gives you more of a reason. Okay, I see a perspective puzzle with a dot. How could I see a question mark from that angle? It'd have to be something over there. A lot of these tables and gurneys and strapping down people to gurneys seems pretty barbaric and cruel. It's not clean, it's not professional looking, it doesn't, it just does not feel like what you would really get in a mental hospital, or at least hope to see in a mental hospital. Boy, that camera just glitched in a weird way. I guess in all fairness, let's see. TikTok newsflash, someone is not getting out of here alive. This is Killer Croc with all those skeletons and skulls. Like, why would you let Killer Croc have those skeletons and skulls? That's pretty crazy. And I guess the TikTok reference there was the crocodile in Peter Pan, which that's not much of a reference. I can crawl up through these, so those were more transitional areas. Let's see. Okay, so I do have to, I think, blow up the floor because the object is obscured. Yeah. I've pretty much hit the point where I've completely forgotten where any of the collectibles in the intensive treatment section would have been, and so I'm gonna have to wait till I get all of the abilities, which is probably around 80% of the completion of the game. And once I have all the abilities, then to start to think about going back to throughout the levels, getting collectibles. There's a decent chance that when we go back to intensive treatment, there will be some randomly spawning. There'll be, well, that was a weird glitch. There's a decent chance there'll be randomly spawning enemies, and those randomly spawning enemies will then cause it to attack. Cause me to fight more fights than I'd like to fight.
I returned to my work.
Another one of these, and then that's going to be it for this recording.
From my mind. I should have been repulsed, but I was more eager than ever to find an explanation for why someone would do this.
Yeah, you do so much of this collectible stuff. I guess if this was like a Telltale game, which the Telltale Batman games that came out much later probably are closer to a Batman feeling game, you could have had me just wandering around an empty, spooky, scary Arkham Asylum with very few enemies or no enemies, and then have maybe some booby traps and some investigations have to happen. I don't know how you make that game pitch though. That really doesn't feel like that would sell to larger funders of a video game. I think people would totally say no, we can't sell that to the masses, a game where you're not beating up people or shooting guns. Like, they probably had to work really hard to even establish the no gun thing for Batman and maintain that. Seems like they are looking kind of after these guys. But yeah, it is weird. This whole this area in particular, is weirdly designed to, ignoring the fact that gargoyles don't ever exist inside of a building. That would be ridiculous to do, or just incredibly obnoxious. Why is there this crosswalk up here? Is it just for a guard with a shotgun to shoot people? Well, he can't see this underground path too well. He can't shoot down that direction. Why do you have a 3-level room? Who would design this in this way, where there's barely any of the space actually getting used? Just things on the edges of each floor, and then the vast central section of it being empty. I guess maybe it's such an old building, the idea is that lighting, they didn't even have like good lights, and so they needed sunlight. But then why do you have all these ceiling fans up top too? They couldn't possibly be good enough to actually keep a room like this cold. That's very persnickety and just nitpicking, but some logic should follow the development of your level design. It should feel like a real building and something that would actually exist. This doesn't. This feels way too video gamey. Alright, well, as it is, I think your only real options are to go forward in that door. And we've collected a decent amount of things. What I want to do before we wrap up here, though, is I do want to walk through a door, if I can, between each episode. That way, we'll look in the lower right-hand corner and know that we're going to be able to save the game and get a checkpoint that way. Notice that there's colored lines on the floors indicating the path to different sections. Yeah, we're still making good progress. Nothing is really ruining me here, other than the fact that so much of this game is focused around collectibles, when either the game needed to be 100% collectibles and it was just Batman investigating how the Joker escaped, and that would have been the initial cutscene, is the Joker's escaped and Batman needs to investigate how he escaped and what happened, and he doesn't fight really anybody throughout the game. Or it needs to be more of an action game like the Lego Batman games, where you're just beating up people through button mashing quite a lot, and the people are very easy to defeat. They're not very easy to defeat even on easy, but the mix match of pretty bad layout of the collectibles on top of very bad combo systems, and this combo system basically is the same combo system that Spider-Man had when it came out, I would imagine like 7 years later, and they just polished it so much more for the Spider-Man game that it works and it makes sense. Here it totally doesn't, due to its lack of polish. The item collectible layout is bad. The levels are too small. I love that there's no loading here, although I'm seeing a lot of loading just because of my microphone messing up. I can't blame that on the game. Once you're in the game, you're in the game. Auto saving, auto checkpointing, auto loading, it works very nicely. But the trade-off is you're stuck on Arkham Island with possibly a little too many buildings, and each building being a little too small, making it a very linear experience that they really did seemingly pull a 180 on that with Arkham City. And if it weren't for the sequel, Arkham City, coming out, they definitely wouldn't have made it to a trilogy. Unfortunately, by the time you had the fourth game come out and it running so terribly, that kind of ruined the Batman series. So it's highly unlikely that if Warner Brothers knows what's good for them, they would come out with another Arkham Asylum style of game. They're going to have to do something completely different with Batman. They're going to have to fund it a lot better. They're going to have to make sure the game is polished and bug free. They're going to have to try and win back their fans, which if they don't, then Warner Brothers is going to be in a sliding spiral of trying to monetize a lot of their movie licenses as video games and failing miserably, to the point where Warner Brothers could easily just be the parent company of the TT games that make the Lego games and nothing else, and maybe Warner Brothers here and there makes a mobile game as a tie-in to movies. This probably is also an indicator of the problem of having a Warner Brothers major conglomerate that is focused more on making movies or having TV channels or making of TV shows. I imagine they make a couple of those too. They probably don't have enough skill and expertise or to really know how much funding and how much effort needs to go into a video game, and they don't have enough focus in general to actually care about video games in the way that they should be cared about. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.